Hey y'all, it's Brady. Welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new here. So today's video, as you can see as I'm starting here now, is a weekly meal prep video. So this is my first endeavor at this, so I hope you'll forgive me a little bit with the camera angles and everything, but we're gonna get there. So in today's video, I am sharing with you my weekly meal prep that I did before my girls had surgery to kind of make life easier, but this is also something that I like to do at any week. Just to make sure that we use up our produce. I find that we use our produce a lot more if I go ahead and prep it ahead of time for the week. And then you'll see here towards the end that I'm going to also make a meal ahead of time the night before surgery so that we had something when we got home. We didn't have to eat out. So I am chopping up lots of cucumber here and getting that prepped. We can use this in salads or snacking or, whatever. I eat a lot of cucumbers. The girls certainly love cucumbers. Funny enough, surprise, surprise, they didn't want a lot of cucumbers here after surgery, but it was still great to have them prepped because we did eat them before surgery that night. And we also I had them a lot in salads and snacking and that sort of thing while they were recovering. And I'm just pushing all my scraps here off to the side. I've got a bag off to the side here, just one of the produce bags that I'm reusing, just to kind of collect everything. And so I just make one big pile over here to the side, and then what you can't see is I had this bowl here. So I've got all those chopped up, and I'm going to move on to the red peppers. All of these vegetables the peppers are washed. And then you'll see here I tried to punch the stem through because sometimes I can do that with the tops of the peppers, but it didn't work out this time. So we're just moving on with the rest of the pepper. I'm just slicing this up here, and then I'll do a quick dice. This is not perfection. I'm doing this to go ahead and have peppers ready. We use peppers in eggs, in stir fry, all sorts of dishes, and so I am making it a little prettier here by dividing it up in my bowl. I'm just using a glass Pyrex, and look, mini baby pepper growing inside. So you can kind of see, but not really, that I punched the stem out there. So I'm going to go ahead and chop up that top too so we don't waste any of it, and cutting out that little bitty piece there at the bottom, and chop, chop, chop. And this for me has been the easiest way to dice peppers, is just to go ahead and do the strips, bunch them up, turn them all around, and dice into a rough dice. Now, this may not be like a professional chef move here, but it works for me. It makes it where I don't cut my fingers because I'm cutting from the inside of the pepper, and makes it very easy for me. All right. Now we're going to move on to my one little lone yellow pepper that I had here. And I apologize for this weird camera angle and where it's kind of the wrong direction of the camera here, but it does get better, so hang on here with me. All right, and I did the same thing with the top of that yellow pepper. I'm just punching that out and I'm going to chop that up with my slices. And again, I'm just making some rough slices here, and then a quick dice. Oh. All right, and moving on to my green pepper. And you can see there I showed you that time how I did that with just punching that stem through. And then the way that I do the pulling the seeds out and everything, because I have gotten that question from some friends, is just to reach in once you cut that top off and just like grip it with your claw of your hand and just pull it all out at one time, and then you can shake the leftover seeds into wherever you're disposing. And I know that you can use those stems and everything for a compost or stock or that sort of thing. Today in this video, I was just really trying to get everything prepped as quickly as possible. We don't have a compost yet, so unfortunately those little bits did go into the trash. But I do feel like we use a good bit of the pepper, and you see there my camera moved. That is because Mishka, our dog, decided she had to run up under the tripod, so I'm gonna get this readjusted for you. Okay, and another pepper. And see how very thinly I'm slicing that top? And here I am, you can kind of see off to the side I was pulling out the insides, and then I'm gonna chop the top of that pepper after I punched the stem out. And again, take that teeny tiny little stem out of the bottom and slice, slice, slice. Now, if you weren't going to use all of these in a cooking method like eggs or something like that, or stir fry, you could certainly stop at the slices or do some diced and some slices and keep that in a bowl ready to go to make quick fajitas or just for snacking, that sort of thing. So that's another reason why I like doing that. So you can see here all my peppers nicely chopped. I love the way that looks. And now I've got another bowl and 2 sweet yellow onions. We're gonna slice those up. So what I do here is I just cut off the ends. You'll see like that. And then I'm gonna cut it in half, and then, and you can see here I'm still shoving all the stuff off to the side, and then I peel off the exterior. Okay, slice, slice. And then I am not needing these to be in teeny tiny pieces, so I'm just doing a very rough chop. And throwing them all in my bowl. You could also slice these through the center into the width of the onion, and that would give you a smaller dice once you started the chop part. However, we just use these in eggs or dishes, and so I wasn't super worried about it. If I was using it in a dish where I wouldn't necessarily want to bite into a bunch of onion, then we would definitely slice it smaller. But the method to the madness here today is just to get through all of this and get it prepped so that we use it up, so that we have some quick things on hand and ready for surgery day. Now obviously this is a pretty long video, but all of this, and I have sped it up for you. However, this really didn't take very long. So there you can see there's 2 yellow onions, and I have washed this celery. So now we are going to chop it up. And I'm just chopping this into some sticks, celery sticks, to be able to eat on for the week. And I did end up changing my mind from a round bowl to a rectangular bowl. I think they'll fit better in. That's what I'm doing here, is pulling one of those down so you can see there. Yep, I decided for sure. And then I also have another bowl because I'm going to dice some of this super, super small for chicken salad that I'm also prepping today. So here I am, just gonna slice these up for snacking. Boom, boom, done. And that is a head of celery. So now what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to slice down the center there like I was showing you, and make these stalks a smaller size, and just dice right through those. And same thing with these other stalks. Slice right through the center. That way you don't get big, huge chunks of celery in your chicken salad. If you like that, go for it. You could leave the stalk whole and just slice. But I like the finer pieces. See there how small they are? Alright, I'm going to show you here what that looks like in my bowl, and we are going to add the rest of the things to that. Now onto some green onions. These are looking a little wilted, but there are still several good stalks of green onion there. So I'm gonna pick out the best ones, and then we will chop those up for my chicken salad. And I will try it. I'll leave the recipe. It's a loose recipe, but I'll leave the ingredients listed down below for how I make my chicken salad, so that you can see it, you know, just if you want to save that or copy and paste it into something, that you can do that. It's just kind of one that I've adopted and adapted from many recipes and kind of made my own. But it includes the celery, the green onions, mayonnaise, garlic powder, the boiled chicken, or you could roast it. And here I am just going to slice this. But, and then salt, pepper, garlic powder. Yeah, I think that's about it. And we put some grapes in there if I didn't mention that. Like I said, that full recipe will be down below. I'm going to put the majority of these green onions into this little bowl, but I'm going to throw a few over into the celery bowl for the chicken salad. And I'm not making a super huge batch of chicken salad, so it didn't take very many onions. And what I'll do with those green onions is keep those reserved to the side so that I can go ahead and have that ready when I make baked potatoes. We've got an easy topping. If we want to throw that into eggs as well, we can. We can also use it as a topping that you'll see for the loaded baked potato casserole. Here's my bag of many endings, I guess. But I'm going to just throw all of these scraps in there. And yes, I do know that you can make stock out of them, but again, this was fast, quick, and in a hurry getting this prepped and ready to go. And I actually don't have any freezer space to get any stock into the freezer right now, so we just skipped that. Okay, so I've got my board washed, my knife washed, and I've got a personal sized watermelon here. I think that's hilarious because who's going to eat all of that? But I mean, I certainly could, but I don't plan on it. Here's another tip: use a grocery bag, even if you're doing a larger watermelon, and you can put all of those rind pieces in there. And even if you're going to put that into compost, it makes it easier to do that. So then what I did is I sliced off each end to give me a stable place to start slicing the watermelon, sliced it in half, and then I'm just taking my big chef's knife and slicing through. So I'm going to make some rough slices here, go through the center. This is like what I was talking about on the onion that you could do as well. And then a rough chop. I just want them to be small enough, sort of bite-sized pieces. Now for the girls, I would definitely chop these up just a little smaller. They are a little large for bites for the girls, but the average person could handle that bite. And that's the goal here, is that it's just chopped and ready to go. And again, I'm just going to slice this rind right off of here. You can use this method with a full-size watermelon as well, but it may just take you a little longer. But it's always good to get yourself that flat, stable edge to cut on, because you want something to keep it on your board. All right, and I did the same thing here. And I'm just going to try to make sure that all those little slices are shoved together so nothing slips apart and helps me slice my hand open there. Okay, and so we're just going to throw that all into the bowl. I thought maybe I would need that second bowl, but it looks like everything actually fit right into one. Perfect, easy peasy. Now I'll wash my board and we'll be ready to go. Wash my board, clean up my mess, and get started with the next one. And see, and if you're going to use compost, you can just take that bag, dump it out in your compost, and recycle the bag. Here it is, all diced up with that watermelon. Put the lid on it and stick that in the fridge. And we are going to move on to the rest of the chicken salad ingredients. I did rinse my board and my knife. All right, showing you there my celery and onions. Going to get that bag of watermelon scraps out of my way. Okay, there's our bowl with the celery and the green onion already chopped right in there. Salt, pepper, parsley, garlic powder, boiled chicken that I had already cooled in the fridge, some mayonnaise. And I have a few grapes we're going to chop up for that. You could use whatever grapes you have on hand. The way that I like to do that is just make sure they're washed. That bag was some that I had already washed and we needed to use up. I'm showing you my knife there because I was for some reason thinking I was going to need a new knife, but I didn't. There's a quick look at how fine those grape pieces are. You can leave them larger or chop them smaller, whatever works for you, but I just take my grapes, cut them, slice them in half, and then in half again, so you have 4 quarters. Some of the teeny tiny grapes I will just slice in half because they don't really need the 4 pieces. And this is just a rough estimate, guys. I will leave, like I said, that recipe that I use down below that I kind of came up with, but it's very loose and it's just whatever is to your taste. So it's mainly an ingredient list and not necessarily measurements. All right, so there's the grapes added to the bowl. Move on to the chicken. Now, when I boiled these, I did not remove, I think I'm just gonna use 1 chicken breast, nope, 2. So there were 3 in that bag. I'm gonna leave 1 for snacking or the girls' lunches. And I just chopped off some of the veiny bits and fattier pieces that are still there and diced it into a rough dice. Same thing that I've used in other methods, just some quick slices, turn it around and dice the other direction and throw that into the bowl. All right, and there you go. Now we're going to move on to the mayonnaise. And again, guys, I was saying I don't measure, so we are going to roughly get a large tablespoon and just plop some mayonnaise right down in there. You could certainly use plain Greek yogurt here if you would like. It's all up to your taste. And I like to mix this in before I do my seasonings just to see if I need more mayonnaise. I'm going to grab a clean spoon and add just a little more mayonnaise. And that was a teaspoon, so it was just a heaping teaspoon that I added. And this is best if you leave it in the fridge to chill so that all the flavors can kind of meld together. But I'm going to add my pepper. And again, this is all to taste. Add your salt as well. I don't add very much because I did salt my chicken when I cooked it. A little bit of garlic powder. It doesn't take very much, and parsley. Perfect. There's our bowl. We're going to mix that up. Throw a few pieces out of the bowl, but there you go. And again, they just want to jump right out of this bowl at me, but here you go. There's a look at what that looks like. We don't like ours super wet, so I don't add a ton of mayonnaise, but you certainly could add more if you wanted, and I will reserve that. So now I have cleaned up the counter space and we're going to move on to making the Ritz Cheddar chicken that is going to be a meal prep for surgery day. So I have got ranch dressing, sharp cheddar cheese shredded, and 2 packages of Ritz crackers. I'm just going to crush those up in the package, hopefully not make a mess, but you're going to see that I do bust the end open on one of them, and that's just how it goes. You could certainly go ahead and put these into your Ziploc bag and crush them there. There you go. Just beat it on the counter like that and it'll work. Whatever's easiest for you. You can see I did bust it open, make a little hole within, so I'm going to dump the Ritz crackers, both packages, to both sleeves, into this Ziploc gallon bag. And then I'll add my sharp cheddar cheese to this bag as well. And again, I will try to leave this recipe down below for you as well. I think I use about a half a cup of cheese. This is a 1/4 cup measurement. Perfect. Dump that in there. Yep, there you go. And then zip it up and mix it up, and that is your dry breading. I'm gonna stick that cheese in the fridge to use later. Perfect. I'm gonna roll those edges back down, that way you don't get anything on the zipper part. And then I'm gonna add this ranch dressing. Again, rough measurement, right down into the bag. Super, super simple. Finishing off this bottle here, and we'll dispose of all that trash. I've also got my pans prepared here to the left. You can kind of see it sticking off to the side, but I have put my silicone baking mats onto 2 half-size sheet pans that I bought from Sam's. The silicone mats are also from Sam's. If I can link those down below, I will, but I love these silicone mats. If you don't have something like that, which I think they were 2 for $8, it wasn't very expensive. And they fit these size pans perfectly. But if you don't have those, you can certainly use parchment paper, aluminum foil with some spray, whatever works for you. I'm going to use my kitchen scissors, and I have got some chicken that I have thawed out of the freezer. And I've got my bags open, so what I'm going to do is cut all the bits off onto the plate. All the little bits that we don't really like to bite into. And again, you could use these bits in stock and just save them in a bag to make stock with. And one of these days I'll show you how I do that as well, but today we're just making the chicken strips. So I'm just going to cut them into approximately 1-inch wide strips. You want to get them somewhat uniform so that they bake at the same rate, but again, this is real life cooking, so it's never perfect. Never perfect. So just going to throw all that into the bag with the ranch dressing, directly into the bag. Same thing here, just taking a few more pieces of chicken, and I think I had 5 total chicken breasts here, and just slice those up, throw them into the ranch bag. And this did make quite a bit of chicken, so we ate on this for 2 nights and had a little bit for lunch as well. Because after surgery, neither of the girls wanted this, so that was just me and my husband. And that one was a little thick, so I just kind of sliced it through the center. I'm going to throw all of my trash and these chicken bits down in here and seal this bag up and throw it in the garbage can. And doing that, that seal will keep the smell from permeating the trash bag. And then I will put my plate and scissors into the dishwasher and get back here, and I'll show you the breading process, which is super simple. You don't see a lot of mess here. Yes, I know that Ziploc bags may not be the best for the environment, but you got to do what you got to do. You could certainly use 2 bowls for this. That would work as well. Or 2 shallow baking dishes if you wanted to do that as well. But I love this mess-free way of doing it. So I have washed my hands, and now I'm just going to dredge the chicken in the ranch dressing, make it all nice and coated here. And then I've got the other bag peeled so that none of the chicken juices get in there. Onto the zipper part. Keeps your hands clean. Dump it all in there, dispose of that bag. And then what you'll do is just seal this up. See, by turning those edges over, we kept the seal nice and clean, so our hands are still clean. And shake it all around. Just want to make sure that all the pieces get coated, so you will have to kind of break up the chicken with your fingers in there from the outside of the bag, and just kind of mush it around and make sure that you get all the pieces coated. And you will see as I put these on the pans, I will also have to kind of smush some of the breading back onto the chicken as I pull it out of the bag, but it's still a fairly mess-free. So here's my 2 pans. I'm going to try to get a better angle here for you. There we go. And just lay those chicken pieces out on the pan. And you can see there I was kind of smushing some back on. And I'll come back with some of the leftover breading at the end of putting all these on the pan, whatever's left in the bag, and just kind of smush those on there. So you don't need egg, you don't need anything else. This ranch dressing not only adds flavor and holds the breading on, but it keeps it very moist as well. You definitely want to not overcrowd your pan, just leave some space there to try to get airflow in between while they're in the oven to help keep everything crispy. And these silicone baking mats, while we're talking about this, they are super easy cleanup as well. All right, moving on to the other pan, and these, once you rinse these silicone mats when you're done cooking with them, you can stick them directly into the dishwasher. Now, I don't put these large baking pans in the dishwasher. Number one, they probably wouldn't fit. Number two, they do say that they are not dishwasher safe. So I use a lot of silicone mats or parchment paper to keep things from sticking, and that way it's an easy cleanup. All right, there, all the mess is in the bag and into the trash it goes. And then I'm going to put these into the pan, into the oven for you. I'm going to turn that light on so that you can see what I'm doing. Oh, move those potatoes I had cooking for dinner tonight in there. All right. And I'll show you, I've already got a little pot here of pinto beans going. It was just 1 can of pinto beans and a piece of salted pork, fat back. Okay, and a 5-pound bag of yellow potatoes. And I am getting my pot ready with some water, and I'm going to salt that water. While the chicken is cooking, we're going to start the loaded baked potato casserole. So I'm grabbing myself a little paring knife, and I'm just going to roughly chop these up. Cut off any bits that look unappetizing, but for the most part, these yellow potatoes, just like red potatoes, do great because you can eat right into that skin and it doesn't feel particularly tough or gritty. And I'm going to use pretty much the whole bag of potatoes. The recipe calls for 3 pounds of potatoes, and again, I will link this recipe down below because this is one that I found on Pinterest. And I didn't really change anything, so I will be sure to leave that on there. The only thing that I changed in this is that I used already cooked bacon bits in this particular day. So her recipe does call for bacon that you would then cook and chop up yourself, which I will agree was better. I did make this for Thanksgiving and it was a lot better made that way. Or not Thanksgiving, I think it was Easter. And it was definitely better that way. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my pot on medium-high heat so it can start heating up while I'm chopping all this up and putting it directly into the pan. Excuse my messy cooktop here. This is real life cooking. And I'm just kind of shoving those down into the water. It's not hot yet. But as always, be very careful when that eye is on. Okay, and all my trash and bits are in that bag. We're gonna move on. I've got this heating up and they're still cooking away. Hasn't quite come to a boil yet. And who else struggles with these darn spoon wrists? Really, who's only using 1 spoon while they cook? Not me. So I'm just giving those beans a quick stir Watching that cook, checking on our chicken. Ooh, steam. Okay, so I'm gonna rotate these so that they are not gonna burn. And then they've been cooking at 375. Ooh, and they are done. So here we go. I have also drained my potatoes, got them into a very large mixing bowl, although I don't think it was quite large enough. A disposable 9x13 pan. I've also got 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. Actually, I think that's only 1 cup altogether. And then sour cream, milk, baking bits again. She uses real bacon, green onions, salt, pepper, garlic powder, and butter. And then I'm just going to use my hand mixer here. So I'm going to add the butter. The butter has been sitting out to come to room temperature, but it wasn't quite there. And then I'm going to add my milk. And at this point, you'll see that I will add more milk because I did follow her recipe, but I added more potatoes. So it does need just a touch more liquid and a touch more butter than you would if you only used 3 pounds as per her recipe. And this makes a ton. We ate on this for several days and unfortunately still threw a little bit of it away, but it was super delicious. So let's get mixing. And you're just going to want to smush those potatoes back down as they come up. Be very careful and do this on low speed with your mixer. If you try to stick that thing in there and bump it up to 5, you are going to have a great big mess. As you can see, it is throwing potatoes everywhere anyway, so it does make a mess. A larger bowl would have been ideal with this many potatoes, but we're making it work. And that 9x13 pan, I did spray that disposable pan. If you have a non-stick pan, you may not need to, like a ceramic baking dish. But with these disposable ones, I do like to spray it first with just some cooking spray. And I'm gonna get the sour cream in now. And you can leave these as chunky as you like, but we like ours pretty fine. And then I'm adding the garlic powder, pepper, and the salt. And I go pretty heavy on the seasonings to give it quite a bit of flavor. And mix, mix, mix. You just want to thoroughly mix that in there. So that is why I left it even a little chunkier than we like, because I knew I was still going to be using the mixer to add in the rest of these ingredients. And it's definitely thick but creamy. I'm going to use those beaters and just kind of get that off. Be very careful when you do that though. It is hot, very hot, and you're going to see me as I struggle to put this in a pan here in a minute, how hot that bowl is. I was doing my metal bowl thinking it would be not as heavy. However, it retained that heat way more than my ceramic or glass bowls would have. So that was the only conundrum there. So then I'm going to use my spatula here and just mix out the rest of the ingredients in. Adding a little more salt and pepper. This is to your taste. And a little more garlic powder. Half of the cheese goes in. And you want to reserve the rest of the cheese to put on top. And you reserve the green onions for the topping as well. All right. Now I'm going to add in some baking bits. Not baking bits, bacon bits. Just mix that in. You're going to watch me struggle. This pan was so much heavier than I thought it was going to be with it being so hot. So definitely be careful there. You can see I'm making a big old mess. But this is real life. I think I remind y'all of that frequently in my videos. But that's what you're going to get here, is real life cooking. Everyone makes a mess. Things don't look perfect. If it tastes good and it looks appetizing by the end, go for it. So that is the goal. All right, so we're just going to get that all in there and then spread it out. You can see my little pile of mess over here, but I'll clean the counters up when we're done. Throw everything into the sink and kind of pick up the best that I can. Okay, spread this out into an even layer. And then we're going to add the cheese. And I'm going to also add some more baking bits. We like quite a bit of bacon in ours, so I'll add some more bacon bits. And the rest of the cheese. That was that other half cup. I just kind of split it up into two. Here's my diced green onions. I'm just showing you that. I'm going to reserve those in the fridge. And I've got another sprayed pan that I'm going to throw these into. And that way the chicken has cooled, and I'll just put it in a disposable baking pan and toss that into the fridge covered with aluminum foil. I'm going to cover that other one and throw that into the fridge as well. The potato casserole. And here we are at the end of meal prep. I hope that y'all enjoyed this. Let me know if you enjoyed this, and I'll be happy to do more of these in the future. This was kind of a hodgepodge of prepping for us, but it definitely helped getting ready for surgery. So thank you so much for joining me, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.